I'm Neil from the Starling Tribune, a proud member of the GonnaGeek network, just like the one you're listening to now. The opinions expressed are those of the individual host. Check out all the other great podcasts at GonnaGeek.com and get ready because geekiness begins in 3, 2, 1.
You have been granted clearance by Director Phil Coulson. Stand by for S.H.I.E.L.D. debriefing. All information to be discussed here is classified and may only be discussed among agents granted clearance by the S.H.I.E.L.D. Director.
Now it's time for your scheduled debriefing. I'm Agent Stargate Pioneer.
I'm Agent Haley.
And I'm Agent Lauren.
Welcome to Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D, a Marvel Comic Universe podcast. This is podcast number 112, discussing Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D, Season 3, Episode 12, The Inside Man. This podcast is recorded on Wednesday, March 16th, 2016. Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D is a fan-based podcast on the ABC television show Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D, Marvel's Agent Carter, Marvel's Daredevil, and Jessica Jones on Netflix, and the general Marvel comic universe.
Because you just can't trust that mustache.
If you would like to talk to us about untrustworthy mustaches, or scruffs of malicious intent, or any other evil facial hair, you can visit our website, legendsofshield.com, where you'll find all of our contact information. You can check out our voicemail line, 844-THE-BUS1, 844-843-2871. We also have a Facebook page, Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. Podcast. We have a Twitter account, at Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. We're on Tumblr, legendsofshield.tumblr.com. We have a YouTube channel, a network channel, where you can find all of the cool shows on this network, www.youtube.com/GonnaGeek. And you can find all of the other network information at GonnaGeek.com.
This time on Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D, we're going to be talking about a great giveaway we've got going on right now. We're going to be talking about where I'm going in just a couple of days. We're going to be talking about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D, The Inside Man. We're going to be talking about Jessica Jones, A.K.A. Yara Winna. We're going to be talking about the weekly Marvel news, your feedback, and highlights from the live Blab chat room. Just a little reminder to talk a little bit more about it. I know it was mentioned already, but this podcast and all of the GonnaGeek.com video companions and shows can be found on the GonnaGeek YouTube channel. So you're talking about the GonnaGeek main podcast. You're talking about better podcasting. You're talking about all things good and nerdy, Starling Tribune, Nerd Alert News special editions, and the occasional tech review and comparison. And you can find that once again at youtube.com/GonnaGeek. So we do have a Deadpool crate giveaway, and this is the Marvel Collector Core, powered by Pop Funko, Collector Core crate. And we do have it for Deadpool, and we are giving it away next week. So if you want to get in on this Deadpool goodness, what do you have to do, Haley?
You have to send us a little story about the date between Peggy Carter and Deadpool. We've got some entries. We need some more entries, so we've got some chaos to choose from. And whatever makes us laugh the most wins.
That's right. And Lauren, we have an entry, and we actually are ready to enact one of the entries today, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so who's this from?
This is from @BornToEatBacon. And he's given us quite something to work with.
Okay, once again, that's @BornToEatBacon on Twitter. He emailed us, and he emailed us a little script, and the ladies are going to enact it. Now, there's two parts into it. There's Peggy Carter, and who's going to be playing Peggy?
I will be playing Peggy.
Okay, so Haley will be playing Peggy, and then who's going to be playing Deadpool?
That would be me.
All right, Lauren and Haley will be playing Deadpool and Peggy. So the first line is Peggy, and I will be the narrator. And there's only one narration line, so you only hear me once here. Peggy opens her front door to find Deadpool standing there.
What on earth are you supposed to be? And why are you on my doorstep?
Hi, I'm Pool, Deadpool, and I'm your date.
You, Mr. Poole, you are no such thing. Besides the fact that I have a bow and am in a hurry to find an assassin.
Well, I forgot my wallet and can use some dinero to pay for the chimichangas. You do like chimichangas, right? Anyway, who do you want off?
Oft.
Yeah, oft, taken care of, handled, dealt with, oft.
Oh Lord, Mr. Poole. I am not looking to hire one. I am out to apprehend one. Now, if you'll pardon me, I shall be on my way.
Whoa, hold up, Toots.
What? Why, I never.
Yeah, with your attitude, I don't doubt it. But I still have to take you on a date. You see, a couple of self-important bimbos and some skinny guy who loves to hear his own voice thought it would be funny if we dated. So they have a contest.
What on earth are you?
Then some total butt monkey wants to win the stupid thing so bad that he sends my sexy red-clad butt all the way back in time to see what would happen.
Did Howard put you up to this?
So now I'm stuck here with you in the land before porn until we get this over with. I tongue kiss you goodnight, and I get poofed back to my time and life, and most of all, my smoking hot, always horny, almost wife.
Why are you dressed in that stupid outfit anyway?
I bleed a lot.
Well, you're about to bleed a bit more if you do not get you and your stupid stories off my porch and let me go.
Okay, so hard to get it is. It's all good. I'll come with.
Walking to the car with Deadpool, skipping along behind her.
Howard, so help me God, you will pay for this.
And scene.
And I apologize for that accent.
That was fun. So thank you very much at Born to Eat Bacon. And if anybody else has any more entries into our contest, our giveaway for the Deadpool Marvel Crate Collector Core, go ahead and email us, tweet us, Facebook us, whatever, and we will put you in the drawing for the giveaway. All right. In a couple of days, so after this podcast is put out, the finished version, the live version will be out there. But after this podcast goes out, I will have come back from C2E2. So in just a couple of days, if you happen to be listening to this live or listening to the live recording on Friday, March 18th, we've been talking about it for the last month or so. I will be with 5 of the other GonnaGeek hosts and producers at C2E2. That's the Chicago Comic and Entertainment Expo in room S503, 2:45 p.m. We'll be talking about everyday podcasting for your everyday life. Naki is going to be there. Beef is going to be there. Cody, Chris, Willie, and me. And I'm going to tease it one more time. We do have something to give away. It is swag, but I guarantee it will help with your podcasting. So we are thoughtful in that way.
So thoughtful.
All right. We have our main event, the next episode in the return of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Last week was the mid-season premiere. This is the next episode down the road. It is called The Inside Man. It was directed by John Terlesky. He has also done, and Haley, you might remember this, he has done another Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode named Yes Man. Do you remember Yes Man, Haley?
Oh yeah, that was the one with Sif.
Right. And that was the second one that Haley and I took over the podcast from the previous generation of Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. crew. I don't think, Lauren, you came with us until what, episode 18 or something like that?
Oh, something like that. It was really close to the end of the season.
Yeah. So that is how far back this guy goes. He has done 25 episodes of Castle. He's done an episode of Blacklist, 6 of Revenge, and he is also a very established character actor, and 2 notable appearances are on The Love Boat and V. And I threw The Love Boat in there because that is geek cred, in my opinion, at this point in time. If you've been on The Love Boat, you deserve to be mentioned. But he's got a total of 42 acting credits. So, John, thank you very much for giving us that tidbit to talk about. And then it was written by, ladies, you want to take this one?
Craig Titley.
There you go. So Craig is a Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. producer. He has done 4 Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Episodes as a writer. He's done 2 of The Cape. He's done 2 of Star Wars, The Clone Wars. We've talked about him before. He's done also Cheaper by the Dozen 2, and Hurry-Do.
And it should be noted that among the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episodes that he's written before was 4,722 hours, which we've talked about at length because it was a fantastic episode.
It was an amazing episode. It is still on my DVR. There are 2 episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. literally on my actual DVRs. One is 4,722 hours. The other is this week's episode. So that is how important that was for me. I do watch it from time to time. So Lauren, the mustache is back.
Yeah. So we all knew we'd be seeing him again after last week. Talbot and his mustache are back.
And his haircut.
You know, yeah, I think his hair was worse.
On.
His hair was worse in this episode than the mustache was, and I'm so glad Lincoln called it out.
Yes. Which for a little while, so I just got my hair cut, and for a little while today, when I was getting it cut and she was shaving the sides, I was like, oh no, please don't end up looking like Talbot's. But it turned out better.
I watched
it would hard to be much worse.
Right. I watched this episode twice, and once was because half the episode was cut out. So I watched it again, and I picked up a lot of things the second time around, like the beginning scene where Talbot is sending off Carla, his wife, on the plane. And after you see the episode, you know what is going on in that scene. And I was like, oh, that was well played, wasn't it, Haley?
Yeah, well, she said there's finally consequences for our family, and the consequence is that their son was kidnapped.
That's right. Do you think she's going to be forgiving of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Probably not. There are some things you don't really forgive, and I think your
this-
child getting kidnapped is one of them.
Not only did this hit really close to home, it's her kid. I mean, we all know what happened when Liam Neeson's kid got taken. So, I mean, you just don't mess with somebody's kids.
That's the same thing that happened when Oliver Queen's kid was taken, too. Oh, spoilers. That's an Arrow
I really need
reference
to
there.
catch up on Arrow.
You do.
I'm like a year and a half behind.
The Arrow episode was literally titled Taken. So there
Because
you go.
of course it was.
Yeah, I know. And Liam Neeson, let's get back to him and his movies. At some point in time, you got to think, what kind of a family man are you to allow your
at some
family
point,
members?
you just got to accept maybe he's a bad dad.
Right. At some point, you got to think, do I really want this guy as my dad? I mean, yeah, it's cool he comes and rescues me, but come on.
But people just keep getting, which, speaking of which, you know they're making a prequel TV series, right?
No.
Which, what is the point if he doesn't have a kid to get taken? But the guy who's playing young Liam Neeson is in Vikings.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Who's
he plays
in Vikings?
Rollo. So anyway, back to S.H.I.E.L.D.
So, Haley, what did you think about this episode? It was a pretty cool episode. Lots of action and stuff, right?
It was a lot of fun. Let's see. I kind of feel like they're getting ready to do the whole, mutant hate group thing with the Inhumans. That group called the Watchdogs, because there's an episode in 2 weeks called Watchdogs. So that's coming. That's going to be fun.
Right.
Total friends of humanity there.
Yep.
Is that the episode with Agent Blake in it? I think it is. Agent Blake, by the way, from season 1, he's coming back. Yeah.
I don't remember Agent Blake.
Yeah, Titus Weller.
Okay. Titus Welliver.
Yeah.
I don't remember
now I
the guy's
do.
name. I remember the actor.
I wouldn't expect you to remember that, Haley. You were young and drunk during season 1.
Still am.
Yeah, right. Which one? Both or young or
Little column
drunk?
A, little column B.
Okay. You go. So, let's talk about stunning, killing, or disintegrating.
Yes.
So, that, of course, goes back to the conversation that Fitz and Hunter are having about getting ready for the mission. And it's almost like they're not buddy-buddy anymore. It's like Hunter is so removed from, remember, it was the trio, right? It was the three amigos. It was Hunter, Fitz, and I'm never going to live that one down. Hunter, Fitz, and Coulson were the three amigos. And I don't know. They're not getting along as what they used to.
Well, things have gotten a little stressed lately.
That's right. I just noticed in the chat, Adonna Girl said not dead like Sitwell. So who did we reference was dead? I'm not like Blake. I guess, is what you're talking about. Yeah, okay. It said, well, isn't dead either, unless I see a grave of course, that might not even work either.
Yeah,
So
graves aren't a good indicator. The smear on the highway is usually a pretty good indicator that
that would have been a good
someone is
indicator if
dead.
we saw it, but we didn't.
I don't know what movie you were watching, dude.
We didn't actually see it. We just saw him go over the side and the semi go by. We didn't see the semi actually hit him.
The semi didn't go by. The semi spread him across like 2 miles of highway.
Again,
Yeah, what we needed was like the Meet Joe Black truck.
Right. I like the glove maker thingy, the tech, the cool shield tech.
Yeah. At first I was like, oh, it's a good use for Coulson's fake hand. And then no, not only was it Coulson's hand, it went back to, it was like hand fax machine.
Yeah, well, the hand was Bluetooth or Wi-Fi'd into the rest of the system, and they figured that probably through the watches. Again, if anybody listening to the cast wants to send us an Apple Watch, we'd like it. And one for each hand, a 38 millimeter and a 42 millimeter. Haley asked for that last week. Just saying.
See which one works better.
Yeah.
Which size I prefer.
That would be cool.
So what I think it is Coulson's hand, like the robot hand, sends like the Wi-Fi signal through, and then it goes through to the watch, and then yeah. Basically, Coulson's robot hand is just awesome.
I've been spending a little bit too much time talking to Beef lately because I can think of all other opportunities to use a hand scanner like that too. So,
see, I thought you were going to say things about like plugins and settings and
all sorts of stuff like that. Yeah, absolutely.
Which, again, when I was live tweeting, somebody was like, "Hey, Felinda's back."
That's right. They were getting kind of buddy last week too at the end where she said, "Well, you've joined the cavalry," which is still, that's actually it's a deep moment because you're like, I don't know if that's good.
It was deep, but it was sad. Now they're back and it's happier.
Yeah. Well, she's happy because she's driving a motorcycle. She's getting to shoot people. She's happy. Yeah. She's flying the bus, I'm assuming too.
I don't hate you as much.
That was such a beautiful moment.
It was.
It got them back together and that was the last time that they saw each other too, because it was later in the mansion, but they took off. Bobby and Hunter took off.
Bobby Malik's car.
Yeah.
Which I'm still convinced that this right here, this whole arc right here is setting the seeds for Marvel's Most Wanted, because Hunter just keeps running off on his own and doing whatever. And Bobby has to like chase after him to try to, salvage the situation.
That was so cool though, with the sticks that she threw in the boomerang sticks as they came back, and how they did that with the laser pointing and everything. And then later with the laser pointing at Hunter, that whole scene was just cool. Well,
also Bobby just like climbing and parkouring up the wall. 'Cause who needs doors?
Yeah. This is the 20 teens, whatever we call this. This is time for humans to do supernatural stuff on TV, as themselves, real stunts. Parkour is a real thing. It is possible. It's not all wire work, although it's probably a little bit of wire work. But
well, I know there have been a couple episodes this season where we said the fighting choreography wasn't quite up to standard. This is not one of those episodes. Everything looked really sharp in this episode. And
real, and not too much over the jump the shark moment or anything, including the initial battle, which was so cool when Creel was going after
the I am rubber and you are glue fight.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was fantastic. And then I loved the tag team aspect of May running at him with the metal,
tire iron.
That's what I was going to call it, a whack stick.
Technical term.
I forgot my words. Okay.
It's what the trunk monkey uses.
And, using that to hit him just right so that Lincoln could get that combo off.
Yeah.
So if he can't control what he turns into, how is he not just constantly his clothes?
I know. And what happened if he touches another person? I mean, does his skin like absorb that other person, because I have to imagine that, you have a slightly, I don't know.
I'm not sure what the bounds on the absorbing man are, but it's definitely a concern. Like, you're right. If you can force him to change to something.
What happens if he touches dandelion fluff? Does he just like...
He just blows away in the wind.
Right. No, he has turned into stuff that has dissipated before, and he's had to come back together, right? I seem to remember that from last season. I might
Unless you're remembering Sandman from Spider-Man.
Probably.
I don't remember. I don't remember last time we saw him. My brain is so fuzzy.
I know. I was thinking about that too.
Yeah.
I do remember there were rumors on the internet before his first appearance, though, that he was actually a Kree. And it was just somebody who thought he looked blue.
But he's not. They confirmed that he is indeed human.
Yeah.
And like Luke Cage, he was turned in an experiment.
And we're going to find out it was the same company.
That would be interesting. Well, we know that Creel was in prison.
Mm-hmm.
And Luke also got his experiments, in the comics at least, in an experiment done in prison.
Yeah, we might see a connection in Jessica Jones 2 or
in Luke Cage.
Or yeah, whatever. Yeah, Iron Fist.
I would love, because we know, okay, we've already had kind of a cameo by Creel in the Netflix series with that poster.
Right.
That, Jack Murdoch and Crusher Creel.
Mm-hmm. They could bring him back. Absolutely. It's looser, but it is still hashtag it's all connected, which leads me into this whole thing about the Inhumans and the Inhuman hate and let's corral them on an island or something. It sounds like something that is building up to the Civil War in just 6 weeks.
It's seeming less Civil War to me, and it's having echoes of various X-Men arcs.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. But
this is the X-Men that they can't use, so we're going to
like the whole thing about Creel's blood being kind of inoculant, very reminiscent of the Cure from Astonishing X-Men.
Right. There's crossovers going on in the comics going all over the place right now, and you have Inhumans and S.H.I.E.L.D. and Avengers, and you have everybody showing up and everywhere else. And I assume this is what the comics have always done, but I think it's being done intentionally right now.
Yeah, it's kind of nice actually having this be its own thing, because it's like they can go and they can pick and choose kind of their favorite parts from the comics. They're like, oh, we really liked, this aspect from this particular X-Men story. We can't use mutants. It still works with Inhumans right now. Okay.
I bet they do something like the mutant virus as well, where somebody in a lab cooks something up to try and take them out.
Yep. Once it becomes
next season, Legacy virus.
Yep.
Once it becomes knowledge of what Fitz and Simmons are doing, yeah, I absolutely agree. Somebody will try to weaponize it and use it for bad, because this is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's Marvel. It always happens. So, I'm just going down my list here. Who's the guy that flew off with Malik at the end? Does he have any comic?
The Russian guy.
He was the Russian.
Yeah. Does he have any comic book history? I didn't think so.
Not that I'm aware of. The only thing that I can really think of is what it seems really obvious what they're doing is the whole, hey, create an Inhuman state, put them all in one place is... I mean, it's obvious they're making a buffet for Hive.
Mm-hmm. They are.
Yeah, I can't believe every other country wasn't like, how about we don't give you all of our superhuman people? I can't believe he managed to get 3 votes.
Well, because Australia had an Inhuman in prison or imprisonment or whatever. They were doing experiments on one Inhuman, but it was just one.
And it was on Twitter. They said that this was an Inhuman that fans of the comics would recognize.
Oh, in Australia.
Yeah.
Nice. I didn't see that.
So far, it was something that was tweeted by, I forget who, I think Agent M on Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
But so far, I don't know anything else about that.
Okay. Starsaber _222 in the chat said Manifold, maybe?
I don't know.
Yeah, wait, nobody knows. Good guess, though. So Talbot, we have to stay on Talbot because the episode was Talbot centric, and the dude was, well, basically he was wearing a dress.
The definition of ugly American on like several different kind
It-
of fun.
He was
every time he said somebody's name, I was like, it's like they sent SP to be our delegate.
That's what I was thinking. It's like that. That's like me. I'd be that idiot there, and I would say stuff like, "It's all loosey goosey under it." I seriously, somebody's writing he's writing Talbot as or SP as Talbot. That's exactly what's going on. So
Well, I know who you should cosplay at a convention.
right. So if you guys
Wear
need
the red outfit.
if you guys need any serious material, you can fly me out, and I will spend a day with you, and that's all you'll need. Trust me, that's all you need. One day with me, and you'll have enough material for like 3 seasons. What's that, Haley?
I said it's all they'll be able to stomach.
That's right. Get this guy out of here. That was funny.
Yeah, it was, on the one hand, it was so hilarious having him around just for that long, playing off of Coulson. Like, I really want these two to have like a buddy episode where they go on a road trip and they don't get along and they're working together and being like super awesome army guys together, or secret agent and army guy. And I want to see that.
This is kind of it.
I know, but I want to see more of it.
Okay. We might.
I want to see it where it, doesn't end with Talbot betraying Coulson because his family's being held hostage. Which, by the way, when I was watching, I cussed like really loud when I was on the couch, because I was just, I mean, I knew it was coming, but I was just like, oh my, which I didn't, I can't repeat what I said because
yeah,
I was trying to keep it PG.
Mm-hmm. Well,
but my husband runs out.
It's like, what's
He's
wrong?
like, what? And I'm like, oh, just nothing.
So Adam in the chat said, language.
Yeah, I know.
Had to put that out. Okay. Daisy and Lincoln had an interesting arc in this
Shake and Bake?
episode.
That is the best ship name for them.
Good job.
Shake and Bake. Yeah. Which is funny because yesterday at work, we were talking about Will Ferrell movies, and Shake and Bake from Talladega Nights came up, and we spent an hour trying to tell this guy what it was like and everything. And he's a very religious man, and Talladega Nights is not something that would be shown in his household, but he was getting kind of a kick out of it and everything. But it just came back to the Shake and Bake. So anyway, they are training, quote unquote training, and talking about their differences, their similarities, trying to get together, whatever. And yeah, it was very Agent Carter-ish, with Jarvis and Peggy sparring and then ending up on top of each other. And
Jarvis and Peggy were like totally going to bang at the end.
That's right. Which, who knows? In some universe, they probably did. But I want to point out that Daisy pointed out to Lincoln that his assessment at the cocoon would happen. So I don't remember a reference to the cocoon before.
I've heard, the only reference I've heard to cocoons is that's what I've heard them call when they get all like encased in stone and then bust out.
Yeah, right. From an Inhuman standpoint. But this was a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent trial. This was not an Inhuman thing.
So
I don't know.
Adam in the chat says it's one of the Secret Warriors bases from the comics.
Yeah, there you
Makes
go.
sense. It's where they send their little caterpillar Inhumans to become agent butterflies.
That's right.
And the head of the cocoon is obviously the Monarch.
Yes, the Monarch.
Okay, so I have been watching it since you guys brought it up.
It's back.
I've been watching the Venture Brothers. Fortunately, one of my DVRs has the ability to go back and watch all this stuff. Not all of the DVRs, just one. And there's 3 different brands of DVR. I don't want to get into it. It's so messed up what Time Warner Cable, dang you. Anyway, so I watched it, and the Monarch's back and everything. I'm only 2 episodes in, so don't spoil anything, but it is hilarious. This might be the best season of Venture Brothers ever. It's that good.
It probably is.
Yeah, I said this like 2 seasons ago. Oh, this is the best season ever. And then last season, oh, this is the best season ever. And then now I'm like, this is the best season ever. It
Last
just keeps
season, which
getting
was like
better.
4 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that. It's
How
been a
long
long
has it
time.
been off?
I have no idea.
They had like
I
2 or
can't
3
remember time.
specials, and like 2 of them were called season 6 episodes. So technically, the first episode of season 6 was really the 3rd episode of season. I don't know what's going on.
But it disappeared for a while. I was like, oh, well, it's just gone. And then like that special came out a couple years ago. I was like, oh, it's back. And then it was
they
gone
had
for a year. And then there's another special, and then it was gone for another year.
Oh, look at it. Anyway, it's good. If you haven't picked it up yet, go find the Venture Brothers. It's a very, very funny series, especially for those of us that grew up on comics in the 80s.
It is animated. It is not for children.
No.
So don't make that mistake.
No, it's on Adult Swim for a reason. And I said comics, I meant cartoons, not comics of the 80s.
Yeah, it's like the 80s Hanna-Barbera cartoons.
It's exactly what it is.
There's plenty of references to other like 70s pop culture in there.
In the first episode, there was a reference to the Dune buggy in Hanna-Barbera. If you caught it, there was an actual Dune buggy in there. Like, I forget the Dune buggy's name, but beep, beep, that sort of thing. Anyway, let's get back to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. What haven't we talked about?
We've talked about Talbot's dress, Talbot's mustache, Talbot's hair.
You ladies had a almost perfect Ward shirtless scene.
Almost, yeah. So what does Marvel have against the male torso on the TV side?
It was fine. It was just covered with goo. You just
we had like almost somebody was like, oh my god, this is like Terminator.
That goo was obviously people juice.
Yes. I know. It's like, ew, but it was like molasses or something. I was like, or honey. He's going to have fun in the shower after that.
Yeah, like, okay, seriously. You're Brett Dalton. And they're like, okay, we're going to get you don't have to spend all these hours in makeup anymore. He's like, okay, cool. You're going to get naked. Okay.
He's been naked
we're going
before.
to cover you in slime.
And you're going to be alone. It's not like you're going to be with
We're finally going to take that prosthetic off your chest. Oh, great. I'm glad I'm finally going to get to be clean.
No.
Well,
right. So that was
do you
funny.
think they're just going to like hose him off for the next episode? Or do you think he's just going to be gooey for the rest of the season?
He'll clean up. He'll take a shower. But it took me the second time around to really see what was going on, because I thought they were just Hydra agents. They weren't. They were actual people taken from the street that Lucius paralyzed them. So they were conscious the whole time. They couldn't move. They were just standing there, and then he did his thing. That would have been terrifying.
Yeah.
Oh. And we find out
the whole thing is a nightmare.
We find out that he is a inhuman because he can't ward death, whatever you want to call it. He can't use his powers, or he can't feed off of other inhumans. So we find out for sure that he is an inhuman.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's
old inhuman.
That's right.
Maybe someone who's old enough to have known the royal family.
Probably. I don't know if we're ever going to get there, but yeah.
Well, if they're not going to do the
like
movie, they might as well do it in the TV show.
Might as well. You're right. Oh,
it's good stuff. There's no reason to not use it.
Right. So a couple more things that I have to mention, and then whatever you ladies have. So first of all, bus CGI, very cool. We see the cargo bay down below where the cars used to come in, that same set, with the deck above and stuff. And then we see again the command center with the cockpit right off of that. So it's not a different level like it was on the first bus. It's right there. And then we see cool outside shots with the jets going and stuff. It's so cool for a guy like me, for rocket science. And the other thing I feel obligated to mention, since we had brought it up before at the end of the first half of the season, is Coulson is wearing ties again. This is important to note.
Well, because he's got two hands again. He can.
That's right. Exactly. Just calling it out.
I hadn't noticed that, but you're right.
Mm-hmm. It took me until the end of my second watch. I was like, wait a minute, he's wearing a tie. How's he doing that? Of course, with the functional hand that's never. So, Lauren, do you have anything else?
When Talbot is, speaking of hands, when Talbot's holding his fake hands, he's like, this is freaking me out.
Oh, yeah. And then Talbot gave Coulson a hand.
Yeah, that, again, those two,
So,
I really, really hope we have a lot more interaction between those two for the rest of the season. Because
are they going to let Talbot stay in charge of ATCU, or do you
acting head of ATCU? Acting.
Yes, acting head. It's really Coulson calling the shots, but
right. But are they going to keep him as the figurehead at this point, or are they going to Have
Yeah,
to
may
get
as
somebody
well.
else.
Why waste him at this point? You've already
Okay.
killed one head of the Aku. Just saying. So, Haley, what else you got?
Bad handwriting. That's what I got.
Mhm. I like your Marvel notebook, by the way. I'm just seeing that on screen for the first time. That is pretty
It's
cool.
pretty awesome.
This one is actually almost full, so
We got to get another one.
I have 3 more over here.
All
So,
right.
I don't think I have any more notes.
Do you have any quotes?
Oh, actually, I do have one more note.
Yep.
Lincoln, speaking of Marvel hating the male torso, why is he wearing a shirt to spar?
I know.
Maybe
And
it
then
was
Sky gets shirtless. Daisy gets shirtless before him.
I know. What?
Marvel.
Come on.
well, you guys got the Brett Dalton. I need something.
We did
got
not get
goo.
Brett Dalton.
I'm sure if Daisy had goo
You know
all
what?
over
He's
her-
all oiled up. Maybe him and Lincoln need to wrestle now.
They could solve a lot of problems that way. I'm just saying.
I was thinking that the whole time. I wasn't going to bring it up, but okay. All right. Any quotes at all from the
Yeah.
episode? Okay, let's do it.
All right.
For the new listener to the podcast, what Haley does every episode is she reaches into the episode and brings out the funny and important quotes, and we say them at the end of our review. So, Haley, what do you got?
No one would ever intentionally cut their hair like that.
Right. That was good, by the way.
We're not friends.
That's right. We're not partners either. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was Talbot to Coulson.
Well, the "we're not friends" was May to Hunter.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
Congratulations. You've just narrowed it down to everyone.
He was so dense in that pre-party. That was so funny watching. I'm like, oh, that's totally me. Oh, gosh.
I don't hate you quite as much.
When the weapons came out,
Yep.
that was pretty good.
That was fantastic. That was like my favorite quote of the episode.
And then
was.
before that, when Hunter's on his back and he's got the 3 Hydra agents after him, whatever, and they all have guns, he's like,
Sorry,
excuse me,
this is a gun-free zone, so
I have to take that off of you. And then he does. He ends up doing it.
well, technically, Bobby, May.
No, there were 3 Hydra agents, and then Bobby and May came in, took out the other 2, and then
Okay.
Hunter took out the one that was pointing the gun at him on the
Okay.
ground. Is that it, Haley?
Yep, that's it.
All right. So fun stuff. And I can't wait last week I was like, yeah, we're just getting back into it. Now I'm like, oh, I'm ready to roll. What do we got? So good on you, Marvel. Good on you, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Good on you, Jeff Loeb, who's ever running the shtick on the TV side. I know we've got our Wheatons, I guess, running the show as well. So can't wait for next week. So if you like stuff like this, and like this, I mean like Marvel comics, if you like anything geeky, you're going to like the GonnaGeek Network. We're part of the GonnaGeek Network. And one of the other shows on the network is actually a Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. spinoff. What am I talking about? I'm talking about Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. Long Box Edition. And the last episode out, we had just a bunch of stuff. Adam did a rundown of Original Sin. Lauren went down. It was 3 different X-Men comics last week, wasn't it, Lauren? And
I
then,
can't remember.
yeah, I know, because you've already recorded this week's segment and that episode isn't out yet. And then I don't know what to say, but Neil is on fire in 2016. If you have not heard a long box and then listen to Neil and the way he goes in depth on the history of the specific comics and everything, you just got to check it out. He went all up into what was it? It was I'm trying to remember what his pick of the week was. It wasn't Invincible Iron Man. He wanted to do that and he didn't. I think it was Avengers number 57 in that episode. So just go check it out. Once again, that's Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. Long Box Edition, and just find the latest episode and listen to it. You can pick it up at any time. It's not something that you have to listen to from the beginning, and you get a great 20-minute show. Are you ladies ready to get on to some Jessica Jones?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll admit it took me a little bit to get orientated because I'm like, I know which episode to watch, but I can't remember where the last episode left off because it's been so long since we watched it. This is episode 6 of Jessica Jones, A.K.A. You're a Winner. It was directed by Steven Surgic. It's been a while since we talked about this. He directed the previous episode as well, but in this episode, his history is just amazing. 7 episodes of Person of Interest, 2 episodes of Jessica Jones, including The Sandwich Saved Me, so the previous episode, an episode of Daredevil, The Shadows in the Glass, an episode of The Flash, Fallout. You remember the Fallout, Haley? You remember that?
Wait, which one?
The Flash episode Fallout.
Is that the one where the thing blew up? No.
Okay, so
No.
go to the Crimson Comment and just find out the episode of Fallout, and then you can go find out what Haley thought about it. And then an episode of Arrow, Corto Maltese. That was a very good episode. That was with Malcolm Merlin. That was when Oliver and Roy went to Corto Maltese to bring back Thea. 10 episodes of Burn Notice, an amazing series if you haven't seen it. 6 episodes of Warehouse 13, 1 episode of No Ordinary Family, 1 episode of Eureka. And see, the man just has a ton.
Wayne's
of
World
credit.
2.
Wayne's World.
Wayne's World.
Party on. Excellent. It was this episode of Jessica Jones, A.K.A. You're a Winner, was written by Edward Rickort, and he is a consulting producer on the entire series of Jessica Jones. And this was the 2nd episode that he has written. All right, Lauren, take it away.
Okay. So this episode follows, let's say, 2 big threads. There's Jessica dealing with Hope, and there's Jessica investigating with Luke, and all the fallout and drama from both of those.
Right.
And they're both pretty depressing, especially Hope, because everything involving Hope is the saddest thing ever. Hope is pregnant by Kilgrave, and the whole reason that she got beat up last episode was she's trying to lose the baby.
Yeah.
And
which we don't find out about until this episode.
And then with Luke, he's like, hey, I need help finding this kid. And so she goes to help him. And that's where the whole episode title comes in, because, and this is actually true, by the way. This is a real life thing that works a lot. A bunch of police officers use it in cities and stuff. They'll call somebody who, let's say, has skipped bond, and they'll tell them, hey, you won this contest. You won a free cruise. That's the one they pull here in Houston a lot. You won a free cruise. And then when they show up, they arrest them. And the thing is, they keep falling for it.
I know. It was amazing.
Like, it ends up in the newspaper like, hey, they netted 60 people at this thing, and they keep falling for it.
So I was the foreman of a grand jury at one point in time for my county. I didn't want to do jury duty. Didn't know what a grand jury does. If you ever have a chance to serve on a grand jury, that is the jury that you want to serve on, because amazing stuff happened. I actually indicted a famous person, and if you want to know who, just message me offline. But my signature is on the indictment for a famous person, and that was all very interesting. But it was amazing to me. They did a sting during my stint on the grand jury, which lasted a couple of months. It was 1 day a week for a couple of months. And they did a sting. They caught 12 people trying to give away a free Xbox and a 50-inch free screen TV or flat screen TV. I'm like, I didn't believe it. But yeah, they caught these guys. And because they had skipped on their parole, it was a felony. So therefore it went to the grand jury, and we had to indict them. I'm like, you nuts? Anyway, that's cool.
But yeah, it ends up, Jessica, Luke, the whole reason Luke's looking for this kid is because his sister has information about the death of his wife and Riva. And then everything is sad again.
There's not a lot of happy happening in Jessica Jones.
Right. No, there isn't. But as far as episodes go, this moved along okay. I remembered everything about this. The card game got me at the beginning. I was like, what is this for? I don't remember. And then he started house hunting. I was like, oh yeah, he needed the money to buy the house. And he did. It was funny. He was doing research and to find out how much money he needed to buy the house. And then he ended up getting double the money to make sure that the guy would move out in a day. So, and it was curious that Kilgrave did not mind frack the guy and tell him that you will sell the house. The guy had to do it of his own accord. If he didn't, 12 hours later, he would come back and say, hey, this guy stole my house. So he had to do it legitimately. And so he did. And so that whole thread is there. And of course, you know where that's leading to. And you're like, but at least this is interesting. The guy is actually thinking halfway decent. But because he's so bad, it's like, you just go away. Don't do this.
Yeah, again, Kilgrave is just, he's a terrible person. And David Tennant is so good at playing him. But, just everything he does, I just want to punch him in the face.
He is the scariest villain Marvel has ever made. And he's the one you hate the most. I think he's the most well-developed as well. Yeah. Better than Kingpin.
Like Kingpin, he's an extremely well-developed villain, for you to sympathize with. And Kilgrave is an extremely well-developed villain that you have no sympathy for because he's awful.
Even later in the series, which we won't talk about too much, but later they try and get you to sympathize with him a little bit, and you're just like, yeah, but you're so evil that I don't even care how crappy your childhood was.
Yeah.
So
he's the worst.
Luke comes back to hire Jessica. That was interesting.
I love just everything about Protective Malcolm because he's still mad at Jessica, but because they have this shared experience of being, messed around with by Kilgrave. I can't say what I was going to say, but because they have this whole experience with Kilgrave, Malcolm's still very protective of her because he's like, yeah, she's been through this thing and, she doesn't deserve to have all this extra stuff in her life. Just like Jessica's like, okay, so he did some stuff. He still doesn't deserve to have all this extra stuff. So it's this kind of like you see it with people who've gone through shared traumas where like it's that weird bonding experience.
Oh, that totally is. I mean, and they can't explain it. It's something that the rest of the population will never fully understand because you just can't unless it's happened to you. And because this is a comic thing, as far as we know, it has not actually happened to anybody, any human, at least not at the level that this is. Although it was interesting, Malcolm brought up the fact that it's not magic. This is actual something that is being done. So it plants the seed for you to learn later on how he actually controls people.
Well, when you look at, again, the whole Kilgrave thing as a rape metaphor, I've seen it referred to as like an exclusive club that nobody wants to belong to. And you really see that in this show, like with the Kilgrave, Survivors Club meetings, and with how Malcolm and Jessica interact with each other after they both learn about what they've been through, and how they react to how they deal with it afterwards.
And we see more and more of that as the series goes on. It actually impacts the storyline in the future. But I didn't pick up when the episode started. I didn't pick up that it was Malcolm talking until it was a couple minutes. And I'm like, oh, he's the one who said that. And he was totally talking about how it was with Kilgrave and whatever. So that is one person. And then at the end of the episode, he's actually part of the support group. So you see the way forward with that, which is, it goes into the healing process of Malcolm because he's going to be around in Jessica Jones' life, at least well into the second season. So we'll see how that goes. And one thing that I don't think that we've actually brought up with this series yet is how they've tried everything to keep it in the motif of the old, like 40s, 50s, whatever, PI, right? So even her cell phone ring, and I just picked up on it this episode, the cell phone ring is the old style telephone like you would hear in a PI movie or TV show or whatever. It's just amazing the amount of detail that has gone into the production value here.
I didn't pick up on that. And that's, you think so when I was watching this again when she starts doing the voiceover, it's not overdone, but whenever she does it, it reminds me of, you go back and you watch like, a 40s noir movie. Mm. And that's always what it reminds me of. And, very deliberately so.
Or even a 70s PI show or something. They did the same thing, looking back at the period. Mm-hmm. Sissy, again, I've been spending too much time with Beefs because Sissy, as she is complaining to Jessica about the rough handling, says, "Don't mess with my digits. I got ladies to satisfy."
That's exactly what she meant, by the way.
Yep, exactly. I'm like, oh. It's just little moments like that where I'm like, yeah, okay, this show can reel you in at some points. And it was just the way that it wasn't graphic, it wasn't pornographic by any means. It was just a statement.
It was adult.
Yeah, again, this show like really doesn't shy away from like anything. Like with Hope, very blatantly, very frankly talking about, yeah, I'm pregnant because Kilgrave raped me. I want it out. And Jessica being like, oh, okay. Not judging her, not just like, okay. And then, just as coldly, Jerry saying like, save it and take it to a lab.
Yeah.
Yeah, that the whole setup there is like, this cannot end well. I saw that for the first time. I'm like, or I saw that again this time around. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that she's even doing that. And so she's thinking along the terms of, how can I get the power? How can I get ahead? How can I use this to my advantage? And you're like, Jerry is just not a nice person.
I'm not sure if that's what it was necessarily. It might have been for DNA evidence. If they do ever catch him, it establishes.
Yeah. See, paternity. That's what I thought the first time around, but watching it the second time around, I'm like, this is totally to try to take advantage of it in all aspects of it.
Yeah, the first time I watched it, I was like, okay, because DNA. And then after the second watch through, you're like, oh.
Yeah, definitely saw it.
Because Jerry is terrible.
I know.
Speaking of terrible, what an awful proposal.
Oh, my God. Jerry's the worst.
Did you really mean that? Yeah. Although Pam strikes back. She's like, no, get the divorce first.
But she doesn't have problems sleeping with her before the divorce is final.
Yeah. Everybody has their line.
Okay.
It's the modern age. I can still fool around until it's serious.
I know plenty of people who are like, I'm not going to have sex with marriage. I'm like, you're sleeping with your boy. Butt sex doesn't count.
Everything but.
Everyone has their line, okay?
It's called God's loophole. Watch the video.
Depends on what your definition of is.
Yeah.
So I now know what kind of Christmas tree Luke Cage has. Because as
Christmas.
As he enters in the facility, it's sweet Christmas. Yeah, a bunch of pot trees. Yeah.
Yeah, I just every time he says that, I get so happy.
I know, just the way it just brings you again. It's just that moment. You're like, this is why I watch the show, is for this sort of stuff. Although.
Mike Coulter says it. The thing is, he pulls it off too. It's like, if I was to go and say "Sweet Christmas," it would not sound,
like something someone's really saying.
Exactly.
No,
Mike Coulter pulls it off.
It's like, what's his name on Flash and Legends of Tomorrow? I love the 70s. I can't do it the way he does, but he does it very well. So I can't. What's the actor's name? I can't remember.
Dominic
Purcell. Dominic Purcell. Yep. Cool guy. Mm-hmm. All right.
Or Wentworth Miller, who just sounds ridiculous, and it's perfect.
It is. He's just that sly guy. You're like, and I did watch a season of Prison Break too, so those two were fun to watch during that. Okay. To stay on the whole Luke Cage thing, and he's trying to find out what happened to his wife, who was responsible. He finds out that the bus driver was drunk on the job and was never the bus company buried it, and the bus because they didn't want to pay the money or whatever and the guy was still driving. And so Luke goes ape crap over it. And it's at that point that Jessica finally has to confess.
Yeah, again, on the rewatch, I started thinking about it. And up until this point, Jessica's doing a lot of avoiding. She's avoiding dealing with everything that happened with Kilgrave. She's avoiding dealing with Reva. She's avoiding telling Luke all this stuff. She's avoiding, talking with her friends. She's just avoiding. And this right here, I feel like, is the moment where she stops doing that. This is the moment where she kind of takes charge of her own life again. And this is the absolute lowest point, kind of. I mean, it gets worse, but from like a personal standpoint of this hurts her a lot, she's taking charge. She's admitting to, in her opinion, the absolute worst thing she's ever done. She's making herself the most vulnerable, and she's owning up to it. And then after this, it's like, well, she doesn't really have all that much left to lose, and she starts being a lot more proactive.
Right. So you bring up a good point. I didn't realize that until right now. The bus driver said, I'm just trying to make things right. That's what Jessica's been doing up till now. She's just been trying to make it right. And now she has to own it.
Yeah, now she's trying to make things better.
Right. Interesting. Haley, you got anything else for this episode?
I've got one really good quote.
All right, we'll hold on to that.
Okay.
Lauren, you got anything else you want to say?
Nope.
Okay, go ahead. What's the quote?
If this is a booty call, I like your chances.
Oh, fun. So next week, we will be talking about Jessica Jones episode 7. And
No, next
won't.
week is Daredevil.
Yes.
Because by the time you listen to this, you've probably already mainlined Daredevil, as have we.
That's
Unless
right.
you're listening right now, live.
Right.
And then you probably haven't.
That's right. So we're going to have Daredevil initial spoiler-free.
Yeah, just kind of a first thoughts, first impressions, quick discussion.
And then hang on to your hats, folks, because take good notes and prepare for a rewatch, because we're going to do the same thing that we did last summer. We're going to go over Daredevil week by week during the summer. So after Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is done, we have to get through the rest of Jessica Jones first. So we're going to do that. And we just ran into some schedule issues, but we're going to get caught up this summer with Daredevil over the summer. So it's going to be our summer project. And then we're going to move on from there. So that is what we are going to do in the future. All right, we are getting ready for some news. If there's one actor out there that I can respect from, my entire TV film watching career, one of them would be Sally Field.
Yeah,
I can see that.
I was listening to, I guess it was last week's Nerdist podcast, which was Sally Field and I forget the other guy. I know who the other guy is. I just blanked out on who it is, but they have this new movie, Hi, My Name is Doris, coming out. And one of the things that they mentioned was Amazing Spider-Man. Oh. And at the time she was like, oh, well, I wasn't really that into that. I was only in it because a friend of mine, it was going to be her last movie because she was dying from breast cancer. Then Sally Field went on Howard Stern and, talked about it again. And she said, it's really hard to find a 3-dimensional character in it. You work as much as you can, but you can't put 10 pounds of blank in a 5-pound bag. Mm-hmm. But she did love working with Andrew Garfield. And, this is just kind of the week of people just kind of being like, yeah, it was a paycheck for genre of roles, like Stephen Delane saying like, it was just a part for Game of Thrones, and Ian McShane saying, I don't get what the big deal is about Game of Thrones. And
right.
I mean, yeah, I understand it. If you're not really into it, you're not really into it. And honestly, Amazing Spider-Man 1 was fun. 2 had its problems.
I mean, this gets into the whole Sony, have they treated it right? Have they not? And obviously they haven't, because Spider-Man Well, they've done something right, but Spider-Man has not maintained its height on the screen as it has. It's definitely maintained its merchandising.
Plus, Aunt May isn't really like a meaty role. I think like if they wanted to do a really awesome Aunt May, what they would do is do Spider-Man Noir, where she's a communist and she's out like at rallies and stuff. That was an awesome Aunt May.
I didn't have a problem with Sally Field playing Aunt May, but okay.
But you got to admit there was not a lot to that role.
Yeah, and there are only a couple of storylines where she does anything but almost die.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it a few months back, and I did read comic strips growing up. That was my comic thing, right? So Calvin and Hobbes and Doonesbury, whatever. Spider-Man was the only like legitimate comic book thing that was going on in the comic strip. So I have read a lot of Spider-Man, and I just didn't realize it until lately. And it left the comic strips, at least maybe when I moved off to college or something like that, was the last time I read it. So you're right. Aunt May was not a very prominent character and all that, but that's very fuzzy in my memory, whatever.
Actually, she's had kind of a interesting part in the Ultimate Spider-Man comics and in the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon too.
Right.
But yeah, no, my favorite Aunt May is definitely Noir.
But if you want crazy, if you're really into crazy, one of the things that you should stay focused on is the rest of the season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, IO9 posted an interview today with some of the cast members of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and talk a little bit about, what's been going on in, this season. Clark Gregg talking about Hive Ward. And, oh, God, that picture of Hive Ward, just gross. And Brett Dalton talking about the goo bath. And yeah, they're just talking about some of the stuff that's going to be coming up on the show. How Marvel's Most Wanted looks to be coming along. And Chloe Bennett hints that things are going to get kind of wild before the end of the season.
I can see that. I mean, we're in the meaty part of the season, right? We're almost into April. So you got what, 10 weeks left or something like that. And we're going to see some sparks fly. It's going to be a fun ride. So what is also going to be a fun ride is, once again, after you hear this, if you're listening to the produced version, you've already probably mainlined Daredevil. I will not this weekend. I'll be at C2E2. But if you take a look at the last posters that came out, yeah, you see something very familiar with them, don't you?
Okay, I got so excited about this. DailyDot.com had an article about decoding the artistic inspiration behind Daredevil's gorgeous season 2 posters. So it's, no secret that Daredevil, like ever since Frank Miller's Daredevil, kind of relaunch of the character, has been very heavily inspired by making Matt Murdock Catholic. So these posters are very inspired by religious art. There's one, it's Karen sitting at a desk writing. There's a skull in the background. Very heavily inspired by Caravaggio's Saint Jerome writing. Mm-hmm. You look, there's another poster. It's the Punisher holding Daredevil's helmet. Very heavily inspired by the David and Goliath. And then there's this one of Daredevil tied to like a pillar, and it's Saint Sebastian. And you can go into like all of the I like the symbology of all of these, and it's kind of interesting. The ones that they haven't figured out yet are Foggy, who's standing there walking with a satchel on his shoulder, and there's like a newspaper on the ground. Mm-hmm. There's Elektra holding her size, and then there's like dead bodies all around her.
It's got to be.
Oh, and then there's this one. It's very much the Sistine Chapel with Daredevil in like the Jesus position, and then everyone around him. It's really cool. It's very much like the Sistine Chapel.
That is awesome that they put that much forethought into it and everything. It wasn't until Sean, my co-host on Voices of Defiance, Sean O'Hara, started explaining, the theory behind art and everything like that, that I started really looking at stuff like that. So it's no surprise to me that I haven't really read comic books until now, because there's a lot of that symbolism in comic books itself. But these posters really speak to me like, oh my gosh, they really are taking this theme, they're running with it, and they're doing something with purpose. So, and they look amazing too, by the way, if you haven't seen them, especially the Elektra one. I really like the Elektra one. Go figure, but I really do. Okay, talking about the Netflix universe, we have Joe Quesada, excuse me. We have Joe Quesada talking about Luke Cage and Iron Fist.
Yeah, he was at the premiere for Daredevil, and he answered a few questions. And one of the questions was, is this all going to be in Hell's Kitchen again? And the answer is no. It's still going to be Manhattan. It's still New York, but they're going to be in different parts of New York. So we know Luke Cage, a lot of it is probably going to be in Harlem, because they said that at the end of Jessica Jones. And they said that Iron Fist is going to be in other parts of New York. And also they've said it's a different show. It's going to feel different. It's going to have different tone, and it's going to sound different. And he also said everything is leading to the Defenders. So I think we're going to see in season 2, we've got season 2 of Daredevil coming. Luke Cage, we know, is coming in September. September, right?
Yes.
Can they say that?
Yeah, later.
And then Iron Fist will probably be in the first part of 2017. So we've got all this stuff, and it's going to keep building up this bigger universe that they're all sharing, leading us to the Defenders.
It's going to be a good time. I really enjoy it. And I know that they had this plan on paper, but it really took that quote unquote ratings, which we haven't really seen yet, to the explosion on Daredevil and the wide acceptance of Jessica Jones to really put this plan in motion. So it's all pretty good. But something else that's been put in motion, this is a presidential election year in the United States. One thing that I've been telling you ladies for weeks off camera now is I think that America is descending into fascism. This election is definitely proving it, right?
Chaos reigns.
That's right.
So IO9 has an article written by Charlie Jane Anders. It's an opinion piece about how this year's biggest superhero movies are all about America's descent into fascism. And it's talking about Batman versus Superman and Civil War. And you can read it for, all the details. But there is kind of some truth in this, specifically about how the original Civil War comics were very much inspired by, the whole War on Terror and Patriot Act. And there's even a super Gitmo in the comics. It's the Negative Zone. In the upcoming movie, we see the Raft in the trailer, which is, a superhero prison. So we don't know the exact route that the movie is going to be taking, but the article itself is a pretty interesting read.
Mm-hmm. And if you haven't done that already, we'll put it in the show notes. It is a IO9 article, so that's going to be pretty good. And also talking about Civil War specifically, we had Mr. Russo come out and say a little bit about the inspiration for the movie. And we also see some fantastic new Civil War posters.
Yeah. So Anthony and Joe Russo have said that. Okay. So they're talking and they're saying that they said it's akin to a psychological thriller. And the movies they've been referencing a lot in this one are Seven and Fargo. So
what's in the box?
Don't you know? Yeah.
Okay, I really hope Gwyneth Paltrow isn't in this one then, because the last time Seven and Gwyneth Paltrow were together, it didn't end well for her.
You know what would be funny is if they said she's going to be in the movie and they never show her, and then they're like, well, didn't you see that box on the shelf?
Oh, that's terrible. And then, we see some posters. It's the whole Divided We Fall thing, and it's the shield with the cutouts and their faces are in the star.
Yeah, I like the headshots.
They're really cool posters.
Yeah, I do. They're really cool. And something else that made USA Today, but I've known for a while, is Robert Downey Jr. said that he figures Civil War is his Iron Man 4. We've heard this before, and it's just a shame that it has to be a Captain America movie that he's calling Iron Man 4. one of
Well,
those things.
I mean, if you look at the release schedule, there's really no room for Iron Man 4. And do we really need an Iron Man 4 when there's so much other new stuff we could get instead?
After Iron Man 2 and 3, no, we don't.
I mean, how many bad guys in mechanical suits can he really beat up before you're like, you're just an idiot for going after him?
Exactly. It was fun. I don't get me wrong. I did enjoy Iron Man 2 and 3. They're high up on well, Iron Man 3 might not be, but Iron Man 2 was surprisingly high on my list. And I do like the Mechanical Man. I'm not sure I'm going to like him or respect him very much until after this movie, but we'll see.
I bet you might, because he's the guy that's like, we need to have rules. We need to follow the rules.
See, I'm a Cap fan, though. I'm more of a Cap fan than I'm an Iron Man fan. So we'll see. I'm really conflicted. Of course, Agent 13 definitely has my vote. So there you go. Talking about Civil War again, before we went live on this podcast, I had to take off my earphones because I kept hearing these squeals from one of the other hosts on the podcast as they were paging through this next story. Right, Haley?
Right. So you'll remember, as each of these movies has come out, we've been complaining, why don't the female superheroes have cool toys and merchandise and stuff? And then later they're like, oh, we're sorry, here's a t-shirt. Well, they decided for Captain America Civil War, right out of the box, we're getting tons of Black Widow stuff. So we've linked to an article, and it's got a slideshow in there, and if you page through it, you'll see some Lego Black Widows. She's in, like, the action figure sets they've got. They've got t-shirts and stuff. They've got a ton of advertisements in this slideshow for no reason. Yeah, just tons of stuff this time. Right. They've got a Hot Wheels Black Widow car.
Yeah, they didn't want it to be detracted, the storyline to be detracted from, you didn't put Black Widow in anything. So there you go. Although she should have her own movie, and we need the Captain Marvel movie, so we need the female-led film on Marvel, but I'll take this for now.
They're doing a little bit better.
Hey, ladies, I got a little inside information for you. You know how you're always clamoring to want to, write or produce or whatever for Marvel? Mm-hmm. Guess what?
Captain blah, blah, blah. Marvel is opening up an internship for girls.
Hey.
I think we might be a little old.
Yeah, I think we might be a little old. It's only open to girls between the ages of 15 and 18.
Oh,
in grades 10 to 12.
You ladies are like 16, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So Marvel, again, these ladies are available for story ideas, producing, fetching coffee, really. They'll take anything.
Yeah, so, anything. Anything
else. Finalists will have the opportunity to inspire other young girls around the world by participating in a live global Broadcom Masters webinar, during which the girls will discuss how their STEM skills enable them to create their projects and become a finalist of the Captain America Civil War Girls Reforming the Future Challenge. So that's pretty cool, actually.
It is. I'm applauding them. They are very forward-thinking, really striking while the iron's hot, because I got to tell you,
while the Iron Man's hot?
Yeah, that's right. There you go. I got a story to tell you, and it's not Marvel related, but it's girl and comic book related. So last night, I'm sitting around and I'm fooling around with podcast stuff or whatever. My 21-year-old daughter, who's recently moved back into the house. Yes, it does happen. Moved back in the house, came to my office door and said, Dad, do you have any Arrow comics that I could read? Like, what? And for those of you that don't know, I co-host a podcast on Arrow called the Starling Tribune. We just recently did an episode on specific Arrow comic called Arrow 2.5. And she wanted to get more backstory into the character and to the show. I'm like, well, here you go. Here's your Arrow 2.5. She said, oh, thank you. Got anything else? So I gave her a bunch of graphic novels. We'll see how long she has to get through that. So it's really cool that there is interest in all sorts of genre, all sorts of demographics that there wouldn't have been really even 5 years ago. So I applaud both DC and Marvel for making that happen. Thank you very much. Okay, talking about cool things. We all have them. We're giving them away. And we're going to get more of them. And I'm really looking forward to one. You guys guess which one of these new Marvel Pop Funkos that I am really interested to get.
I know, me personally, I want that Captain Marvel one right there.
There you go. That's the one. Looking forward to it.
I think that's the one we all want.
The
Yeah,
Doctor
so-
Strange looks really good too, though.
It does. I'll admit it.
The Falcon and Spider-Gwen ones are pretty decent too.
Yep. I mean, they all look cool.
Yeah, they all look cool, but
I'm
in
surprised.
terms of which ones I want, it's like Captain Marvel,
Yeah.
Falcon, She-Hulk, Spider-Gwen.
So all of them.
That's right.
I'm
There's a jet.
surprised they went with that old costume on Falcon though, instead of like the newer movie looking one.
Maybe we're going to get the older costume in the replacement Falcon once Falcon becomes Captain America. See,
Maybe.
it's all possible. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Maybe.
But yes,
I doubt it.
If you haven't seen them yet, they've been all over the social media. So if you're on social media, you've seen them. There are a bunch of new Pop Funkos coming, so that will be cool. Once again, we are part of the GonnaGeek.com network, and one of the other shows on the network is Game Life Balance US, that is hosted by Cody Goff, who is verified because of his WGN radio fame, and John Martin, just an average guy, game player that lives in Minnesota. He's also a pharmacist, so if you have drug questions, you might want
Not
ask your
those drug
pharmacist.
questions.
That's right. So
Not
in this
those
latest
drug questions.
Yeah. That's right. So they've recently rebranded their podcast. It used to be Unqualified Gamers. It's now Game Life Balance US. So they're up to episode 10, but really they've done a lot more episodes than that. In this latest episode, you hear John describe his adventure participating in the Minnesota caucus. Then Cody delves into Sherlock Holmes after seeing a musical about Sir Anthony Conan Doyle and discusses ownership of fictional characters. So that is Game Life Balance US number 10, found at GonnaGeek.com. Ladies and gentlemen, you are obviously getting a very supersized episode of Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. So we apologize for that, but there's just a lot of stuff to go through, including a ton of great feedback on Twitter. At Cajun Sean said, "Hey, Spider-Man, meet..."
Science babies.
There you go. So this is something that Agent Lauren, Lab Rat Lauren, had not known until we brought it up in pre-show. And she's like, "Oh, I can't believe it. It's on my DVR. I got to go watch it right now." So we're going to rush through the rest of this because I just reminded her that she has to go watch this. She's very interested in seeing
I need to watch Rebels, and then I need to watch this, and then it's just going to be a great evening.
That's right. I got to watch Man of Steel for tomorrow night. Okay. And at Born to Eat Bacon, the same Born to Eat Bacon that we read the contest entry on originally, retweeted the superhero feed and gave us the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Poster for the second half of the season, which is all done in comic fashion. It is outstanding. If you haven't seen it,
It looks good.
yeah, go get to see that. And then at Mr. Pericletes, longtime friend and fan of the show, he found this little thing. There was a lot, by the way. We didn't talk about it because it happened right after we podcasted last time. The next Civil War trailer came out, and a lot of talk has been out there. We actually should have done a special episode on it, but none of us really had time to do it. So there's a lot of stuff on Spider-Man going around the interwebs, and there is this Daily Bugle spoof. What does it say, Lauren?
Spider Thief robs aging World War II veteran. Editorial by J. Jonah Jameson.
Page 3. So that's awesome. Very good. So what we're talking about obviously is Spider-Man's actual appearance in the trailer, and it's kind of it's cool, but it's unfortunate that Black Panther was overshadowed by all of it, because there was a lot of cool Black Panther scenes in that trailer. So it's going to be a good movie. I was kind of I was excited about it, but I was kind of on the fence about being uber excited. Then this trailer came out, and I'm like, I got to see this now. I mean, I'm going to take the day off of work. I'm going to be in one of the first showings. It is that good, and I can't wait for it. What about you, Haley? When are you picking up Civil War?
I'll see it opening night, so Thursday at 7 p.m. probably.
Uh-huh. Lauren, you going to do the same?
Mm-hmm.
You going to drag Scott to it?
Oh, yeah.
Kicking and screaming? Have you?
He's going voluntarily, but
okay.
Yeah.
Have you ladies decided what you're going to wear?
I don't know yet.
Oh yeah, of course, the Winter Soldier.
I'm wearing my Bucky jacket.
Yeah, Bucky jacket. I have 3 Geeky jerseys.
They don't They sell them, but they're really expensive. So I was like, I'll make my own.
Right. So I have two geeky jerseys in my presence. I have the Captain America geeky jersey and I have the Spider-Man geeky jersey. I also have on the order the Shellhead geeky jersey. At this point, I'm not convinced that it'll be here for the opening. So if I do, there's 3 to choose from. If I don't, there's 2 to choose from. And I'm really conflicted because I have no idea. I'll probably end up wearing Spider-Man, but I just don't. Probably
if you're
because
conflicted, that actually works out.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, there you go. So, like I said, I'll probably wear Spider-Man, but I just don't know because I haven't worn Spider-Man to a Marvel movie yet. We'll see how that goes. Okay, Christy at Adana Girl, who's been a little bit quiet in chat, but she's been around today. But she did tweet us on March 11th, and she said, looks like Haley Atwell and Clark Gregg's Spike LSB is airing April 21st.
Which
and
would be
I
the
know
lip
we're-
sync battle,
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm so looking
which
forward
I
to
will
this.
be live tweeting.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
So April 21st, mark your calendars. Lauren will be live tweeting from the Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. account. Is that what we're talking about?
Yep.
All right, there you go. Again, fan and friend of the show, Cajun
Let me
Sean.
make sure it's not conflicting with another show, like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, so
No,
we'll figure
it's
that out.
No, it's a Thursday. It's fine. It's fine.
It's
I'll be live
only-
tweeting.
Yeah, right. So at Cajun Sean tweeted us and he said, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is bringing back this Marvel character. And I alluded to it before. I just want to credit who I got the information from. We were talking about Agent Blake. So Titus, I keep on wanting to say
Welliver.
Welliver is coming back to the show. And at last we saw him, he was kind of banged up, just a little bit banged up. So it'll be interesting to see what happened to him. At Born to Eat Bacon also took us up on our Apple Watch thing, except for it's not an Apple Watch and it's not for us, but it's on his wrist and it is his Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. background on his watch. So
I
thank
think
you very much.
didn't quite understand the instructions you were given.
And who made you Agent Bacon, by the way? He signed it Agent Bacon. Who made him an agent? I mean, we have to control. Did he go to the cocoon? Did he become an Agent Butterfly? I don't know.
Agent Butterfly.
Well,
I love it.
just quoting Haley from before.
I know. It sounds so funny when you just say it like that.
We had a bunch of great feedback this past week, but I think my favorite is this next one. It's Richard at Kodiak GWC. He simply tagged Stargate Pioneer and Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. on Twitter, and he said, here's a gift for SP. If you haven't seen it, it's Agents 13 Captain America Civil War poster. So cool. So cool. She's got some new weapons. Good. Can't wait. Consultant Black Adam tweeted us with all of the good Marvel Pop Funkos. So thank you very much for that, sir. And at Born to Eat Bacon brings this up. And I have to talk about, I know it's getting late, but I have to talk about this. He said, I may have to, since it take what Lauren tweeted after her live tweet last night, which was very good live tweet last night, by the way. After she tweeted, she said, join us tomorrow night for our live recording. And at Born to Eat Bacon said, I may have to join you since it takes Stargate Pioneer like 5 days to post it. I just want to say that is not out of apathy for me. I have a very busy schedule. I'm doing 5 podcasts. I know that's not an excuse. However, that is why I've made the live recording version available on Spreaker. And I linked my Spreaker account back in a reply to him. If you need to know where the Spreaker account is, let me know. But that is where all the live podcasts are. And as soon as the episode is ready, actually produced, I send the regular feed. So that's what will go out to iTunes and Stitcher and Google Play and TuneIn and all that. And I will also replace the file on Spreaker. So if you just got to get your unedited Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. podcast fix on, just go to the Spreaker account and you will get it immediately. If you're not listening live, you can get it later. But I will caution you, it will be unedited. You'll hear long dramatic pauses. You'll hear people talking over each other and stuff like that. So take that all away with post-production, and it does take 5 days. So I'm not going to apologize for that. I'm just going to say that's the way it is. And I have figured out a way for you to get your podcast earlier. All right. We have a voicemail. First voicemail in a while. Just remember, we have a voicemail number that is 844 the bus 1 or 844-843-2871. And it is from Black Adam. So I wonder what he has to say about the episode.
Hey guys, it's Adam calling in with feedback for this week's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I was kind of surprised that they stuck with Absorbing Man as a good guy in this episode. I mean, I know his son is one of the secret warriors in the comics, but I really didn't expect them to do anything like that. The fake out with Talbot being the double agent, but under duress, was pretty well handled. Plus the hand puns, of course. And I like that he sort of grudgingly respects and starts to like Coulson with how things went at the end there. And, you know, as good as the scene with Bobby and Hunter taking down the one guy, or I guess there were a few of them, was, it's really disappointing that we didn't get to see May do her stuff to save Talbot's kid. Lincoln Daisy stuff, not really sure. Lincoln does seem rather unstable, but once he mentioned it, I could sort of see how his powers might contribute to that. And they're already going for the whole vaccine angle. I mean, I know Joss was responsible for at least one of the more well-known mutant cure arcs, but I hope they don't decide to just, hey, let's do all our classic mutant stories with the Inhumans and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But I suppose it's too early to really worry about that. Can't wait to hear what you guys think. Talk to you later. Bye.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Adam, for the voicemail. We really appreciate that. I did enjoy the hand jokes. I did. That was pretty cool. Although I want to specifically address your comment on May and rescuing George Talbot, is that they just ran out of screen time. They probably actually shot it on location, and they couldn't actually show it because they just didn't have enough time on the screen. I'm guessing that because of the complex stories that they show, they probably shoot for like an hour 15 minutes worth of material and then just cut it down in post. That's my guess. I don't know. I'll have to read up on it, see if I can.
It wouldn't be quite that much because of how tight the shooting schedules are. They usually try and make those cuts before they get to shooting. But if it's a 44-minute show, they probably have 50 minutes of material.
Something's going to get cut out at some point in time. Yeah, absolutely. We also have an email, don't we, Lauren?
Yeah, we do. Andy has been emailing us about every episode of Jessica Jones. So here's his reactions to episode 6. How can Luke Cage's bass voice sound so smooth? And I gotta say, I agree with that. Not gonna lie, in such a noisy restaurant, I would use Kilgrave's power the same way he did. It's tempting, right?
Yeah. Sometimes.
Oh, we finally get the exceptional action sequences. Okay, the part where Luke and Jessica were fighting like back to back in that pot warehouse.
Yeah, that was really good.
I'm a sucker for that, like the, back to back couple fighting, like with that and Farscape, and just like name a series where they're doing that, and I'm just like, goals.
Yay.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Yes. Jessica waited too long to come clean with Luke, so this was the most emotional scene for me in the series so far. Oh, yeah, that was painful. And then what we were talking about with Hogarth wanting the dead fetus, is she going to get it analyzed to find out something from Kilgrave's? Is she going to get it analyzed to find out if something from Kilgrave's DNA she can replicate its powers with? All in all, 8 out of 10 destroyed pot bins.
Yeah, the destroyed pot warehouse. That was pretty cool. I do have confirmation that Andy has given us emails from episodes 7 and 8. So stay tuned for that. And I always love his ratings. They're amazing. They're great. So thank you, everybody, for the feedback. Really appreciate it. Join us next week as we discuss Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 3, Episode 13, Parting Shot, and Daredevil Season 2. Hey guys, if you want to get a hold of us, we've got a website, legendsofshield.com, that will take you onto our page on the GonnaGeek.com website. We have a voicemail line. Please use it, 844-THE-BUS-1 or 844-843-2871. I was a little remiss before. Adam did send in an email or a voicemail last week as well. I just completely forgot about it. It's been a long week, folks. Sorry. We do have a Facebook account, Twitter account, Tumblr account, all at Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. We do have a YouTube channel, but we encourage you to go to the GonnaGeek YouTube channel. That's where all the current stuff is anyway. And don't forget forums on the GonnaGeek website. That's forums.gonnageek.com. There's probably going to be a ton of Daredevil conversation on it. There's probably going to be a ton of Marvel Civil War conversation on that. And don't forget, I will return next week and talk about my C2E2 panel that I have. It's my first con panel. I'm very excited about it. I know. Popping my con
cherry. Say it.
Yeah, popping the con cherry. And at quite it's not a small con. It's not like a local 10 people in the room thing. This is going to be a little bit bigger than that. Now, the actual room that we have, I don't know how many people will be in there, but there's 50,000 people that show up at this.
So how many people are on the panel?
6.
So I bet there are 8 people there.
Okay.
Including the panel.
Yeah. And the con workers that are at the door.
Yeah, the audio guy.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm not the only one going to a con in the near future. Lauren, I believe you're going somewhere too, aren't you?
Yeah, it's quite a bit smaller than a C2E2, but from April 1st through 3rd, Texas area listeners, I'm going to be at AggieCon in College Station, Texas. Details on that are still pending, but I will be there all weekend. It looks like I'm probably going to be on a panel or two. So yeah, if you're interested, drop by. It's small, it's fun. It's a good baby's first con.
There you go. Now, in the future, I have been being lobbied pretty hard by 2 individuals, and they're both my former and current co-host for the Dallas Comic-Con because of everybody that's going to be there. So yes, Shannon.
It's looking like a good year.
Yeah, Shannon O'Hara from Voices of Defiance, the podcast that I used to do on the Defiance show, has wanted me to fly down for it. And then my co-host, who I don't know in post-production where she's going to be, but she's sitting right below me right now, Haley, and I have also discussed if we are going or not. So
I will probably be there.
Nikki from Terry's Landing
will probably be there.
There you go. So it might be the first Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. con show. We'll see. I don't know. Yeah, it's a little tight time frame for me, so I got to see if I can take the time off of work and stuff. So we'll see on that. So anyway, future appearances pending. Hey, thank you very much to everybody that's been watching us live on Blab, that's been listening to us live on Spreaker. I definitely appreciate you. Adam's been in the chat all night. Chrissy's been in the chat all night. That's at Adonna Girl. And Adam, of course, is at Starsaver_222, one of the segment producers for Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. Longbox Edition. We really appreciate him and everybody else that's shown up. I honestly, it's fun riffing off of you guys in the chat. Whether you know it or not, we are actually reading your comments the entire time, whether we respond to them right away or not. We do, and they do impact the show. So we appreciate your presence.
We're watching you. Thank you to everybody who stops by Twitter to give us news, to just comment and tell us stuff, to, drop by during the live tweets. We love hearing from you. You make it all a lot of fun.
I would like to thank, first off, my manager for giving me Saturday off so I can start my Daredevil binge on Friday night.
Nice. Way to go, manager.
I also want to thank Johnny something eats bacon guy for participating.
Born to eat bacon.
Yeah, there you go. For participating in our current contest and sending us the Peggy Carter Deadpool date. And I hope some other people will send us some more because those are fun for us to read.
Yes.
Yes. And we've got sweet swag lined up for the winner of that competition.
Yes. And actually, I got a notification, I believe. I got to go back and see it, but I'm pretty sure I got a notification that I have some, yes, I do, smuggler bounty crates coming in, and it looks like we'll be giving away one of those on the show as well. So we got swag coming at you all the time. It's going to be fun. All right, until next time, I'm Agent Stargate Pioneer.
I'm Agent Haley.
And I'm Agent Lauren.
Bye. See you guys next week.
Bye.
Later.
And don't forget, after the show, you can come on in and talk to us live.
Thank you for listening. If you want to leave us feedback, go to GonnaGeek.com and you'll find all of our contact information in other shows. You can also visit legendsofshield.com where you'll find our complete archive of podcasts. The music heard on this podcast is by Kevin MacLeod and can be found at incompetech.com. The opinions heard on this podcast are those of the individual host and do not represent Legends, Stream, or GonnaGeek. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is the property of the Disney Corporation. No infringement is intended.
Yeah, this was a long one tonight, but thank you everybody for sticking with us. We had some technical problems at the start, and it's just the way it's going to be with Blab for a very long time. It's in beta, and it'll affect all sorts of things, as well as Windows 10. Thanks, Microsoft. Really appreciate it.
Surprise update.
There you go. So it was a good cast. Thank you, ladies, very much. I don't know if anybody is going to pop in because it's so late, but looking forward to next week. Hopefully I'll be awake.
Yeah, I got a little bit more work to do before I call it a night, so I think I'm going to
get scooting.
Out.
All right.
Yeah. Well, good night, y'all.
Yeah, night. Haley? Okay. Thanks, guys. We're going to go. Bye.